Last year, during the second blackout, I stood in the hallway, staring at the front door, listening to sirens that never got closer. 911 was showing a 20-minute wait. In that quiet, I admitted something I hated. Most of the guns in my safe were just toys. After that night, I stopped seeing pistols as a collection and treated them like life support. I ran them filthy in bad light, with my grip all wrong. A few favorites started choking as soon as the pace picked up. A couple I barely mentioned just kept running. By the time this list has taken shape, most of my safe has been benched. What's left are 5 handguns that survived the nights 2026 has thrown at me. The ones you replay later and wonder if you were ready. One used to be the punchline. One tore up my hands and stayed because on the worst night, it was the only thing that felt real when you grabbed it. On the worst night so far, the first thing in my hand was the Glock 19 Gen 5. Power had already dropped after 1 in the morning, house dead quiet, and somebody started knocking on the front door with the doorbell out. 3 slow knocks, then nothing. Standing there in the dark with the 19 flat against my leg, I felt every board in that hallway. I'd opened the safe seconds before and skipped past a lot of guns people brag about. The tiny pistol stayed put. The skinny single stack suddenly looked small. The big duty gun with the giant light felt like too much for my own walls. The Glock 19 was the one I trusted to come out of that holster clean when my hands weren't steady. I slid up against the wall by the door, Glock low, and listened to someone test the handle once before walking off across the gravel. My shirt was stuck to my back, and one thought wouldn't leave my head. In 2026, if a pistol doesn't belong in your hand on a night like that, it never really belonged in your safe. The only full-size pistol in my truck is the Beretta 92 FS. One day last year, driving a 2-lane I knew by heart, my headlights caught 2 cars across the asphalt and 2 men in hoodies standing in the middle of my lane. No cones, no uniforms. Fence on one side, ditch on the other, nowhere to turn without stopping in front of them. Rolling closer, that cold click hit my gut. If this was wrong, I was already inside it. My hand closed on the Beretta in the console. Heavy slide, big sights. That first pull I trusted. From behind the wheel, the 92 FS felt like the gun that mattered. The little carry pistol on my belt suddenly felt like something I only believed in when the sun was out. They finally dragged one car just far enough for me to squeeze through, and I rolled past with the Beretta low. That day, I lay there replaying it, asking if I'd been inches away from shooting somebody who never fired, and what gun you would trust from your cab if that same road turned into a trap. This Beretta has covered me when the truck became a cage. The pistol after this proved itself when there wasn't any steel around me at all. The Sig P365X Macro has been the one pistol on this list I didn't buy because I respected it. I bought it to prove a point. In my head, a stretched out micro wasn't a real answer for surviving 2026. It felt like an internet toy. People hyped because it was new and easy to post. Then those 3 bad weeks hit. Stores were boarding up early, sirens ran all night, arguments in parking lots snapped into screaming matches, gas lines wrapped around corners. My serious, full-size pistols dug into my ribs, printed under light shirts, or stayed locked in the truck because I didn't want to drag a big gun into crowds that were already on edge. More than once, I stood in those lines with nothing on my belt and had to ask myself one ugly question. If this crowd broke bad right now, what was I actually planning to reach for? Out of spite, I started clipping on the X Macro. It disappeared under a t-shirt, stayed on through long lines and ugly conversations, and still gave me a solid grip and a real stack of rounds if one of those stupid arguments turned into something worse. I kept expecting it to feel like a compromise that would scare me. It never did. I kept waiting for it to prove me right. It never has. By the time we rolled up on that camp, the only pistol on my belt was the M&P 9 Shield Plus. We were hours out in high desert, just a strip of dirt road and empty land, when we crested a rise and saw what shouldn't have been there. A beat-up car, a torn tent, and 3 men loading somebody else's junk like they owned it. My hand went to the shield while my buddy muttered his big gun was still locked in a case under the back seat. All day, that pistol had been dragged through dust and caliche, slammed into gates, jammed under a seatbelt, beat up and dirty. I treated it like a beater. Now, it was the only thing between us and 3 men who knew nobody out there was calling the cops for us. We backed out slow and didn't talk much on the way back. I kept feeling grit in the shield's grip and one ugly line in my head. If the gun you brag about can't live where the trouble really is, what good is it? This pistol earned its place by surviving that day. The one at number 1 is the only handgun that's ever made me strip the shield off my belt when things looked worse. Right before Christmas, I picked up a call from my old buddy John in Nevada. First thing he said was, "You still running that Hellcat Pro?" He was working a coal graveyard behind a motel on the edge of town. One guy, high and angry, pistol half hidden in a hoodie, dumpsters and bumpers boxing them in. John drew his duty gun, slipped in the slush, and it hit the pavement. When he came back up, the slide was jammed with gravel and ice. Half out of battery. Dead gun, bad distance. He went straight to his ankle. That Hellcat Pro came out filthy from sweat and street junk, and still lit off every round. And the fight ended with that backup gun barking in a dark alley while his real pistol sat dead in the holster. I took my own Hellcat Pro out after that and treated it like I hated it. Dust, drops, mixed ammo, no cleaning. Just kept running. Every other gun in this video earned a story from my life. This one took number 1 because after his night and my little torture test, I couldn't call it backup with a straight face. The bonus gun after this is the only pistol that still made me feel underdressed with the Hellcat already on my belt. The only pistol I was willing to put in my neighbor's shaking hands in 2024 was the IWI Masada. He showed up at my door breathing hard, saying there were cars revving out front, 2 guys yelling in the street, and his kid sitting on the floor with the lights off. Sirens were going past the neighborhood, but none of them were stopping for us. I walked to the safe knowing exactly which guns were not leaving with him. The Glock 19, the Hellcat Pro, the Shield Plus. Those stayed on my side of the house. I pulled the Masada because it was full size, simple, and honest enough that I could explain it in one sentence while his hands were still shaking. I loaded it, put it in his grip, and walked him back to his front door with that pistol pointed at the floor. The street finally calmed down an hour later. When he handed the Masada back, sweat still on the frame, I had one question I couldn't duck anymore. If you had to arm somebody you care about and step out of the room, which gun in your safe would you really bet their life on? This hasn't been a coolest 5 pistols list. It has come out of blackouts, bad streets, and guns that looked fine on the bench and folded as soon as the rain, the timer, or the fear showed up. These 5 have proved one thing to me. Most of us keep dead weight we don't want to admit. A pistol that only runs clean in daylight with perfect grip and no stress has never counted as a survival gun. Not for me, and not for you if you're honest. Right now, 2 more pistols sit on my bench, trying to claw into this lineup. I still don't trust them enough to bump anything you just watched. I'm Steve, and if a gun hasn't already passed nights like these, it has no business riding on your belt.